Welcome to Heartbreak Chronicles. As I sit at my desk, a tidal wave of memories of the past 30 years with my wife Alice comes to mind, especially our honeymoon. Those memories have left me in deep nostalgia and my heart filled with gratitude. The days spent in Florida are still one of the most cherished memories of my life. From the very beginning, it was as if we had entered a world away from the world. Holding hands, we strolled along Clearwater Beach, the warm waves lapping gently at our ankles, the scent of jasmine filling the air, adding a touch of romance and serenity to the time. But it wasn't just the beautiful scenery that made this time so special. It was the little things we experienced together. Traveling through dense forests and stumbling upon hidden waterfalls are experiences that leave us in deeper awe of the wonders of nature. As we stood there, marveling at the raw power and beauty of our surroundings, I felt like we were in some kind of harmonious resonance with the whole world. We rented a beachfront cottage in Key West and had the most stunning sunsets every day. As the evening sun painted brilliant colors in the sky, we embraced each other, our hearts filled with endless love and commitment. The night is always magical. Dine under the stars on the beach and savor fresh seafood and local cuisine. But what I will remember most is Alice's gentle smile that made every moment precious. Immersed in my memories, I was suddenly interrupted in my thoughts by the secretary. Noticing that I was in a happy mood, she jokingly asked, "What's the matter? Did you win the lottery?" I laughed and explained that Alice had been especially considerate of me lately and that I felt cherished in a way I hadn't felt in years. It almost makes me feel like we're back on our honeymoon, and I can't help but think about her lately. For the past 2 weeks, I've been calling Alice several times a day just to hear her voice, like a teenager in love, but I don't care one bit. I just feel happy. Alice and I have always had a solid marriage, but it's inevitable that 30 years together can fall into routine. Lately, however, she's become extra intimate, craving intimacy almost every night, and even regaining some of the little habits of our youth. I didn't question the sudden warmth, just took it as a re-blooming of love between us. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to me, a conversation was taking place that would change our destiny. "Mom, I'm not really sure if this is the right thing to do," Sarah said worriedly. "I love your father dearly, and I'm afraid this will hurt him." Alice confides in her daughter. "Mom, Dad loves you. He'll understand," Sarah reassured. "You said yourself that you need something different to experience, something more exciting than what you have now. Daddy isn't getting any younger, but he'll understand what you need." "Sarah, I don't think I can look your father straight in the eye and tell him I'm going on a date with another man." Alice stood her ground. "Then let me handle it," Sarah offered. "Alex will meet you at the restaurant at 7 p.m. You'll be ready to go by 6. I'll explain everything to Dad when he gets back. That way you'll get that night you've been longing for." "Yes, I agreed to the date," Alice admitted, "but I'm starting to regret it now, and it feels so wrong. How am I going to face your father?" Sarah suggested. "You can be extra nice to him for a couple of weeks and show him how much you love him. By the time I explain everything, he'll realize it's not about love. It's about finding a little freshness and making a friend. Take extra care of him. Let him feel that you still love him, and when he learns the truth, he will welcome you back with open arms. Believe me, Mom, Dad loves you, and he will always grant you your wishes." "Do you really think so?" Alice was still a little hesitant. "Maybe you're right," Alice finally resolved. "After all, it's only one night, and that doesn't mean I'm going to leave your father. A little indulgence after 30 years shouldn't be a big deal. I'll make a good show of my love for him in the time leading up to the date. When I get back, I'll redouble my efforts to make him the happiest man in the world." "That's right. This is going to be a unique experience for you." Sarah encouraged, before getting up and getting ready to leave. Well, I've got to get home and get dinner ready for Adam. Thanks, baby, and say hi to Adam for me. By the way, when are you guys going to give us a grandchild? Alice joked. Sarah smiled and replied, Soon. We've talked about it and are going to start trying it in a couple months. After Sarah leaves, Alice sits alone in the backyard studio Brian built for her, gazing at her latest creation. Lately, her creativity has been suffering due to the thoughts of an upcoming date with another man weighing on her mind. It wasn't until she remembered Sarah's words that she rediscovered her inspiration, and her brush flowed freely across the canvas, bringing out colors that were full of life. This inner peace convinced her that she had made the right choice. Sitting there, she muttered to herself, Brian may be upset at first, but I'm sure he'll understand eventually. He's always been a good husband and father. I'll be twice as nice to him and let him know how much he means to me. Full of excitement, I left the office early, planning a romantic surprise for Alice. I bought 24 roses, wrote a loving card, and picked out her favorite red wine and a box of chocolate strawberries. Tonight, I'm going to tell her how much I love her, and I'm going to give her an even bigger surprise. I've secretly booked a 7-day luxury cruise for us. These days, Alice has been extra gentle with me, making me feel as if I'm back in the heat of the moment. I can't wait to see her face when she receives these gifts and imagine her surprise when she learns about the cruise. With great anticipation, I pulled into the garage and walked quickly up the stairs to the kitchen, only to see our daughter Sarah sitting alone at the dining room table. I kissed her lightly on the forehead and asked, Honey, where did your mom go? Looking into my daughter's tear-filled eyes, I felt a pang of unease. Her eyes averted, as if she was afraid of something. Daddy, we need to talk, she said, her voice trembling as she gestured for me to sit down. I put down the roses and gifts in my hands, already inwardly anticipating that I was about to hear some terrible news. What happened? Is everything okay? I asked, my heart starting to race. The air in the room suddenly became oppressive. Sarah began to sob, tears sliding down her cheeks. Daddy, please listen to me, she said, trying to keep her emotions in check. Mommy loves you very much, and things have been good between you lately, haven't they? Yes, and I'm about to surprise her, I said, gesturing to the gifts. Suddenly, the stomach began to twitch and a sense of foreboding came over me. My hands began to shake slightly, as if my body had anticipated the coming blow. I'm so sorry, Daddy, she continued, tears welling up even more. But, Mom, she went on a date tonight. The words hit me like a hammer in the chest. I sat there in complete shock, my brain unable to process the information for a moment. Everything around me seemed to start spinning, and I could even hear my own rapid heartbeat. Sarah, what are you talking about? Is this some kind of joke? My voice began to rise, my fingers gripping the edge of the table so tightly that my knuckles turned white. Daddy, please listen to me, she begged, her voice trembling with fear. Mommy loves you, but she's with someone else tonight and won't be back until tomorrow. She was afraid to tell you herself because she didn't want to hurt you. I blinked, trying to clear my head, hoping it was all just a bad dream. It must be a joke. Your mom wouldn't betray me. We've been so happy lately, I can't believe it. There was a mixture of disbelief and pain in my voice. Dad, I know it's hard to accept. Sarah tried to reassure me, her voice gentle. But after 30 years of marriage, Mom feels the need for something new. It's just for one night, and she'll come back and love you even more. I glared at her, anger beginning to burn inside me. 30 years of trust collapsed in this moment. Sarah, why are you involved in this? This is between your mother and me. How could you? How could she drag you into something like this? My voice shook with anger. Dad, you know my mom and I were very close. We talked about everything, Sarah explained, her voice breaking from crying. She told me that the passion between you guys had waned and she felt neglected. My friend's father lost his wife a few years ago and has been lonely. I thought they could help each other, so I introduced them. I jerked up from my chair, the sound of it falling heavily to the floor jarring in the quiet room. You mean you set up a date for your mother? Or with your friend's father? Is this true? Did you really do that? My voice was filled with incredulous anger. Sarah cowered under my wrath like a little girl who'd done something wrong. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm really sorry. She was almost sobbing. It sounds awful, but I did it out of love for you guys, and for him too. Love? You call that love? I sneered. What about me? What am I? Am I a fool who can be discarded at will? Did anyone consider my feelings when you were playing the matching game? My heart was beating wildly in my chest, the anger and sense of betrayal nearly overwhelming me. I pressed on. Where is she, Sarah? Where is your mother? What do you mean she won't be back until tomorrow? Dad, they went to a restaurant, but I don't know exactly which one, Sarah replied, her voice shaking with fear. Yes, they're staying together tonight, but it's just a one-time thing, I swear. She'll be back tomorrow, and she loves only you. She's been talking about how much she loves you for the past 2 weeks. The words were like a dagger in my heart. So all this time she's been faking her love for me? My voice twisted with pain. Just to cover up her impending affair? That was your plan? To paralyze me with false warmth? Tears continued to stream down Sarah's cheeks. That's not true, Dad. She's never pretended to love you. She's been trying to show how much she cares about you. Can't you just give her this one night? You've had 30 wonderful years of marriage, and she loves you so much that she can't imagine life without you. Please don't ruin everything. No, Sarah, I said coldly. That ship sank the moment your mother agreed to date another man. Who is this man? He's my friend Mary's father, she said, trying to calm my anger. He's really nice, and I think you'd be friends if you met. Oh, really? I gave a sarcastic smile. You think we'd be good friends? Maybe we could start going out for drinks together, and I could lend your mom to him on the weekends? Is that it? Or we could drink together while I watch him date my wife. Sarah slumped in her chair, finally realizing her plan was crumbling before her eyes. She had never seen me so angry, and my sarcastic words pierced her heart like a knife. I could see the fear and regret in her eyes, but at this point I could no longer feel any sympathy. After pacing back and forth in the room for a while, I finally regained control. Look, Sarah, my voice was cold as ice. I want you to leave now. I need to be alone. I need time to digest what you and your mother have done to me. Don't call me. Don't write to me. Don't try to contact me. From now on, you are no longer my daughter. You're dead to me. Do you understand? I am no longer your father. Daddy, don't say that, she sobbed and jumped on me. I love you and I want to stay with you tonight. Mommy and I made plans for me to stay with you. Please don't kick me out. Watching her cry, for a moment I remembered the way she'd pampered herself on my knee when she was a child. But now those fond memories were tainted by the bitterness of betrayal. Get out of here, Sarah, I said coldly. Your disrespect makes me wonder if you ever really respected me as a father. You are totally your mother's daughter. I worked hard for years to give you and her a better life, and this is your reward? Get out. I don't have a daughter now. She fell to her knees and pleaded through her tears, Daddy, I love you. Don't say things like that. Wait for Mommy to come back tomorrow and explain everything. You've had a wonderful marriage for 30 years. She may have had a night of sex or two, or 1,000, but she'll never have me again, I said bitterly, feeling my heart being torn to pieces, and forgiveness is impossible. Everyone involved has to pay, including the man who dated your mother. Now get out of here. Tears continued to stream down her face as she fled the house, feeling a pain she had never felt before. She never expected me to react this way, and as she ran out the door, she finally realized she had made an irreversible mistake. She had hoped I would understand, but my anger dashed all hope. Behind her back, I looked at the bouquet of roses and the elaborate gift and felt like my whole world was falling apart. Immediately after Sarah left, I called Alice's number, but the call went straight to voicemail. I left her messages over and over, pleading for her to come home, but never got any response. At 2 a.m., I finally realized that she really wasn't coming back tonight. Exhausted and paralyzed on the couch, I stared woodenly at the television, and though the screen was flickering, I couldn't even begin to comprehend what was playing in it. 30 years of marriage replayed in my mind. Our wedding ceremony, Sarah's birth, all the celebratory moments, and now it all seemed so fake and meaningless. How could she do this to me? After all these years? Through the window, I see the studio built for Alice 20 years ago, her sanctuary, filled with her accomplishments, her paintings and sculptures. Suddenly, a new wave of anger surged through him. I jumped up from the couch with an inner resolve. I spent the next few hours running back and forth between the bedroom and the studio, carrying all of Alice's belongings. Her shoes, her dress, her jewelry, I threw them all into the drawing room. Even our wedding photo album was not spared. Suddenly, a thought hit me. Her wedding dress and all those baby clothes in the attic, all the memorable items. I also moved all of these down to join the growing pile of items. By the time I was finished, the drawing room was filled with all her belongings, forming a small mountain. At 5:30 a.m., I pulled a can of gasoline out of the garage and sauntered toward the drawing room. But I decided to give her one last chance, and if she could be home by 6 and explain everything to me, I might be able to salvage what was left. If she hadn't shown up, then everything would have turned to ashes. I used this time to transfer funds, cancel our joint accounts, and pack a few duffel bags. If she doesn't show up by 6 o'clock, I'll leave at 6:05. As my last hope dissipated with the passage of time, I began dumping gasoline on the piles of items in the studio. Watching the oil soak through those once precious items, I paused briefly to feel the weight of the action I was about to take. Taking a deep breath, I struck the match. Watching the flames engulf everything in an instant, my heart was filled with both relief and pain. The fire spread quickly, and the orange flames were clearly visible from the street. It wasn't until I was driving away that a wave of sadness hit me hard. Tears streamed down my cheeks uncontrollably, and I realized that just like that studio, my once happy marriage had gone up in flames. What I didn't anticipate was the fire spreading from the drawing room to the back porch. Fortunately, the fire department arrived in time to get the situation under control before the fire spread to the main body of the house. Nonetheless, the home suffered severe smoke damage and is uninhabitable until repairs are made. I drove shakily to a motel 90 miles away, paying for the room in cash to avoid leaving a trail in case the police came looking for me. Even lying in bed, the adrenaline still kept me awake. After turning off my cell phone, I finally drifted off to sleep in exhaustion and didn't wake up until noon the next day. When I turned my cell phone back on, the flood of missed calls and text alerts instantly poured in from Sarah, Alice, and even the sheriff. Meanwhile, at the restaurant, Alice gets out of her Uber and meets Alex at reception. She noticed his eyes lingering on her little black dress, appreciating her sexy black silk and high heels, his eyes lingering on her hidden cleavage. Earlier in the day, Alice had spent hours at the salon making sure her makeup and hair were flawless. Tonight, she was determined to make this one-night stand memorable. Seeing Alex's reaction, she felt a surge of confidence come over her. She greeted him with a tender kiss and then they moved to the bar. There, Alex couldn't take his eyes off her legs. Alice felt an excitement she hadn't felt in years, and she decided to turn off her cell phone and devote herself to the evening. The chemistry between them was undeniable, and the way they flirted was as natural as old friends, something she and Brian hadn't felt in a long time. By the time they finished their second glass of wine, the waitress informed them that the table was ready. The conversation was easy and pleasant, and Alice found herself enjoying every moment. When Alex asks if she still plans to spend the night together, Alice mischievously removes her heels and teases him by gently rubbing her foot against his leg. He flashed a smile and announced that it was time to leave. They walked hand in hand towards the hotel room he had booked. As the elevator rises to the 14th floor, reality suddenly hits Alice. Brian's shadow flashed briefly through her mind, but sensing her hesitation, Alex pulled her close and gave her a passionate kiss. The kiss dispelled all thoughts of her husband, and tonight, she belonged to Alex. As soon as he entered the room, he couldn't wait to zip down her dress and let it slide to the floor. His touch sent shivers throughout her body, and time seemed to stand still as the night filled with sensuality and tenderness. Alice found herself totally immersed in the moment, totally invested in the experience. When Alex confesses his attraction to her, she feels a twinge of guilt, but quickly pushes that feeling aside. This night was about the two of them. They made love several more times throughout the night and the next morning. It was the most intense physical experience Alice had ever experienced, and she felt a twinge of pride that she had dared to indulge. The next morning, sunlight flooded the room as Alex held her in his arms. "Alice, you're an extraordinary woman," he said softly, "and I think I'm in love with you. Can we meet again?" Alice felt her heart racing. "Alex," she spoke carefully, "last night was great, and you're a great guy, but I'm married and I can't do this anymore. It was just a one-night stand. Before you say no, think about it," Alex pleaded. "Your husband doesn't seem to mind, and if you're willing to continue, I know I can make you happy." "Well, I'll think about it," Alice said softly, giving him one last deep kiss. Despite being happy with Alex, her heart always belonged to Brian, and she hoped he would forgive her for what she had done. After breakfast, Alex drove Alice home. She opened her cell phone for the first time and was flooded with missed calls and texts. When I read Brian's message, a strong feeling of guilt came over me. She has caused him too much pain, and now she must face the consequences. Alice's heart sank as Alex drove into her neighborhood. She saw fire trucks and police cars parked outside the house. Although the front of the house appeared to be intact, panic gripped her heart. "Mom, where are you?" Sarah's voice rang on the other end of the line. "I'm almost home. Honey, what happened?" "The house is on fire, and we've been trying to reach you all night, but your phone is off. Dad's missing, Mom, and no one knows where he is." Panic filled Alice's heart. "I'll be right there." She hung up, feeling her breathing become difficult. When Alex stopped in front of her house, Alice saw firefighters gathered around the house. She hurried over to him, her stomach cramping. "Are you the homeowner here?" a firefighter asked as curious neighbors looked on. "Yes, I'm Alice Harper," she replied, her heart racing. "Well, Mrs. Harper, we managed to save most of the house. Only the back porch was damaged, but you won't be able to stay here for a while until the smoke damage is cleaned up. Unfortunately, the backyard drawing room is beyond saving." Alice's knees gave out, and she would have fallen if Alex hadn't been there to help her. He helped her sit down on the curb. Is everything in the drawing room gone? Alice asked, trembling. I'm afraid so, the firefighter said softly. There's only some debris left. We're still investigating the cause of the fire, but the detective would like to talk to you. Alice staggers to her feet and walks to the back of the house, where she meets Detective Bennett. Mrs. Harper, do you know what might have caused the fire? He asked. I don't know, Alice replied feebly. I wasn't home last night. Is this your husband? The detective turned to Alex. No, just a friend, Alex replies, blushing. Do you know where your husband is? The detective pressed, his tone becoming more serious. I don't know, Alice admitted. I haven't spoken to him yet. So, where were you last night? The detective asked. I'm at the Hilton downtown with Alex, she replied softly, feeling the shame spreading inside her. She could feel the scrutiny in the detective's gaze, and as she stood amidst the rubble of her shattered life, everything seemed so much worse. I once admitted to a detective that I didn't spend last night with my husband, and now he's missing. At the time, I also had to admit to the affair. Alice stood alone in the ruins, the confession that had shamed her echoing in her mind. This is the moment when everything becomes irreparable. For Alice, it's far from over. The cell phone suddenly rings, and it's Brian calling. Her heart almost stopped, and she picked up the phone with a shudder. Brian, is that you? Come back. We need to talk. Hello, Alice. My voice was cold as ice. I already know everything from your daughter. Yes, your daughter, not mine. Both of you are dead to me. This may be the last time we speak. Brian, don't say that. I love you. The drawing room, did you do that? Alice, you caused all of this, not me. I may not have lit the fire myself, but your betrayal is what really started it. When I saw your wedding ring left behind and realized that you had given yourself to another man, you were dead to me. What you did was unforgivable. Brian, please, we've had 30 wonderful years. Can't we just talk and work things out? No, Alice. You orchestrated this betrayal, gave me 2 weeks of false warmth to cover your guilt, and then cheated on me with the help of our daughter. This betrayal is unacceptable or unforgivable. Brian, I'm begging you. It's over. Contact my attorney if you need anything. Goodbye, Alice. Immediately after hanging up the phone, I contacted my attorney and made it clear that I wanted to begin the divorce process. In terms of property division, I insisted that the house was mine and not part of the joint estate. Alice will get half the savings and $3,000 a month in alimony for 10 years, but I've decided in my heart that I won't pay it. Sarah had a complete emotional breakdown when she got the news. She kept trying to reach out to me, but each time I chose to ignore it. To me, she was as much a participant in this betrayal as her mother. Over the next few weeks, Alice tried to reconcile, even offering to go to marriage counseling, constantly pleading with me to meet and talk, but I remained silent. Those 30 years of marriage came to an end in her betrayal. Mike eventually contacted me to apologize for Sarah's involvement. However, the damage has been done and cannot be undone. Then I heard that Mike was starting to reconsider his plans to have a baby with Sarah. He became suspicious of his wife's fidelity and values, and they had to start couples counseling in an effort to save their marriage. For Alice, the reality soon becomes very harsh. She had hoped to return to the rebuilt house, but the divorce settlement awarded it to me. Although she received half of her savings in alimony, for the first time after 30 years of marriage, she had to face the pressure of finding a job head-on. She moved from Sarah's apartment to a small one-room apartment near downtown and got a job at a small gallery to make basic ends meet. Her once comfortable life disappeared, along with the marriage she took for granted, all for the sake of that one exciting night. No amount of tears can wash away the remorse and pain from that affair. The man she had loved for 30 years, the partner with whom she had built a life, had left her forever. Sarah was in a deep depression because of her parents' divorce. This once happy and prosperous family was completely shattered by a betrayal. She begins to seek psychotherapy, trying to come to terms with the loss of her father on the one hand, and trying to save her faltering marriage on the other. A few months later, the house was fully restored and I continued to pay the costs as required by the court. Then, without warning, I decided to sell the house that held so many memories. When Alice learns of this, she comes again to seek reconciliation and forgiveness. But when she rang the doorbell, it was a young couple who opened the door. "Hello, can I help you?" The wife asked politely. "I'm looking for Brian Harper. Is he there?" "Oh, you mean the nice gentleman who sold us the house?" "No, he mentioned going abroad to make a fresh start. He's a very friendly man. By the way, are you Alice?" "Yes, I am." Her voice trembled. "He left a letter for you, saying he would forward it to you if you visited." Alice sat in the car, tearfully realizing she had lost me forever. She clutched the letter in her hand, knowing that it could be the last connection between us. An entire lifetime of love and trust had been completely destroyed in one of her capricious choices. She returned to her small apartment and opened the letter with a trembling hand, not knowing what would await her. I had one last thing to do that late night before I left America. I showed up on Alex's doorstep without an appointment or warning. When he opened the door, he was obviously startled by my sudden visit. "I'm Brian Harper, Alice's husband. You stole her from me." My voice carried all the anger that had been building up for weeks. Alex tried to explain something, but I don't care about any explanations anymore. In that moment, weeks of pain and anger erupted completely. The crowbar fell heavily in my hand, and Alex soon fell to the ground. When I left, he was bruised and I warned him. A word of advice: messing with another man's wife is not good for you. By the time Alex was taken to the emergency room to report the crime, I was on a plane to Costa Rica, where there is no extradition treaty for assault. Alex spent weeks in the hospital, followed by months of physical therapy and adjusting to his new life. The 25 stitches on his face were a permanent reminder of that fateful night with a married woman. Alice and Sarah are heartbroken when they hear that Alex has been attacked. Knowing that it was their own behavior that led to all of this, their guilt deepened. They realized too late that their naive idea, that giving Alice a night of indulgence will preserve the happy family, actually destroys everyone's lives. For Sarah, the loss of her father's love was the hardest blow of all. Mike, her husband, almost ended the marriage because of her involvement in her mother's affair. But after 2 years of trying, by constantly proving his loyalty, Mike finally agreed to reconsider having a child. However, I had completely cut off contact with Sarah, who had lost that special father-daughter bond with me forever. As for Alice, her dreams are in tatters. All those visions of watching my grandchildren grow up with me have now fizzled out. She had to keep working to make ends meet, the old life of luxury long gone, reduced to a small apartment and a job in a gallery. The love she once had is now nothing but regret and remorse. 6 months after that fateful night, I stood on a beach in Costa Rica, a cold beer in my hand, gazing at the beautiful view outside my new condo. I started thinking about what it all meant and suddenly realized an important truth. Divorce is natural, people do drift apart, and there's nothing wrong with starting over. But what is most unacceptable is to remain in a relationship that is neither valued nor cherished. I swore this would never be my reality again. Alice finally read the letter. Alice, 30 unforgettable years, and I will always cherish the wonderful life we created together. You were my first and only love. I deeply regret that I was not able to be the husband you needed. If I had known you needed more, I would have moved mountains for you. But you chose to walk this path alone, so our marriage will end the same way alone. Those 2 sweet weeks, I really thought you were falling in love with me all over again. Those were the happiest days of our entire marriage. Then I learned from Sarah that you used that time to cover up an impending betrayal, and that knowledge completely devastated me. I came home that night with great anticipation, holding 2 dozen roses, your favorite chocolates, and a special bottle of red wine. I wanted to surprise you and take you on a luxury cruise to celebrate our relationship. But finding out about your betrayal brought me to my doom. Congratulations, Alice. You have completely destroyed me and our marriage. I can no longer stay in this city. I have quit my job and am ready to start a new life in another country. Don't try to find me. I don't want to see you or our daughter again. This chapter is over, and I am going to start a new life without you. It may take years to heal these wounds, but I will recover and do so without you. I hope that night was worth the loss of everything we had for you. Take care, Brian. This letter was the last straw that broke Alice's back. She curled up on the bed and cried uncontrollably. She finally fully understood the consequences of her actions. That passionate night seemed so unworthy at the moment. And Sarah, watching her parents' marriage fall apart, is filled with remorse. She had lost her father's love forever, and that knowledge tormented her every day. On the beach in Costa Rica, I started a new life. Away from the hurt of the past, I'm slowly coming to terms with the fact that sometimes the best revenge isn't violence, it's choosing to walk away. Those who betrayed me will live forever in their own remorse and guilt. And I, at last, was truly free. That's the end of today's story. For more captivating tales, hit subscribe and never miss an episode.